Hey y'all! Beating Pokemon Crystal using only one Yanma had me feeling really talented, but this week is sure to be complete trash. I'm gonna try to beat Pokemon Crystal using only one Sentret. As usual, the rules are I can only use Sentret in battle, and I can't use any trainer items in battle. By the way, if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and check out more of the videos on my channel. Sentret is the Rattata of Johto. Just like every new generation has a Pikachu clone, every new generation has a rodent Pokemon clone as well. Wait, Pikachu is a rodent. Wait, so what's the deal with all these rats, Game Freak? At least Sentret is unique, since it appears to be based off the Japanese Tanuki, which is basically a mischievous raccoon-like creature. The Japanese Tanuki is the focus of many a whimsical folktale in Japan, which is a lot better than the American raccoon counterpart, which is mostly known for eating garbage. Speaking of garbage, let's look at Sentret's stats. They're pretty generic, low, and unassuming, just like a Tanuki. But that's how they trick you when you least expect it. Well, maybe that's the case here too, since while the level up moves aren't much to write home about, the TM move pool is honestly incredible. So many different kinds of coverage moves to choose from. And well, either way, I'm excited to see what this little trash panda can do. So let's dumpster dive right into it. Off at Professor Elm's lab, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Cyndaquil with Sentret so that our rival will pick the Water-type Totodile. Sentret is a normal type, so there's no distinct type advantage in either of our favors, but I haven't seen Totodile in a while, so I wanted to include it. Sentret is a raccoon-like Pokemon, and since raccoons are known for eating trash, I nickname ours Litter Critter. And if not for the limited character count in this game, I would have named it Trash Pandacoot. Sentret starts off with Tackle and Defense Curl. Now, frequent viewers of this channel might be worried about seeing Defense Curl since I have used Defense Curl plus Rollout an awful lot before, but I assure you this time we're not using that combo. Normal types in this game are good enough to power through Pokemon even without any kind of type coverage. Our single normal move is enough to win the first battle with the rival Bubs, but speaking of type coverage, hopefully we get some before we meet Bubs again and he has a Ghost-type Pokemon. Or as I like to call it, the day of raccooning. After beating the rival Bubs, I head to the Violet City Gym to take on the leader Falconer and his Flying Freaks, and along the way, Sentret learned the move Quick Attack, which is not only stronger than Tackle, but also has increased priority. This means that despite Sentret having a really low speed stat, we can move before the opponent each turn with Quick Attack, unless of course they are faster and also use an increased priority move, like Quick Attack. You can see how good it is against Falconer's Bird Brains, and it helps us start this challenge off strong. Or as I like to call it, putting your best foot forward. Now in Azalea Town, I'm ready to take on Bugsy the Bug-type Gym Leader for the Hive Badge. This battle was actually frustrating. Along the way in Union Cave, I picked up the TM for Swift and taught it to Sentret, and while it helps to take out the Metapod and Kakuna, the Scyther is surprisingly bulky, and Sentret takes a ton of damage from Fury Cutter in return, plus being poisoned by Kakuna doesn't help. And even with a Defense Curl to boost our defense, we just can't beat the Scyther at this level. And that last Fury Cutter hit us so hard, I think Sentret might have a raccoon cushion. I knock out some extra Pokemon so that we have just enough experience to hit level 18 right before we face the Scyther. That way, we not only get the extra stats from leveling up, but we get extra damage from the way that the game rounds the damage calculation for Pokemon whose levels end in 0, 3, 5, or 8. This gives us just enough bulk and firepower to finally defeat the Scyther. And it might not sound like much, but every litter bit counts. Now that we've snubbed Bugsy's grubs, it's time to get the dub against Bubs. And remember earlier when I said I hope we get a different type of move so we can actually hit Bubs' Ghastly? Well, the only move we got was Fury Cutter from Bugsy. And Ghastly double resists Bug, so it does next to no damage. Plus, even if we somehow got insane luck and chained together a ton of Fury Cutters, Ghastly can shrink our peepee with Spite. This is not gonna work. And much like an overflowing garbage container, we've got ourselves into a real trash conundrum. So the only option available to me at this point is to waste all of our BP and fight this battle using Struggle. Unlike in Pokemon Red, where Struggle is a normal type move, in this game it's typeless, meaning it can actually hit ghosts. The only downside is that it deals recoil damage, so I have to level up to 25, so we'll have enough HP to knock out all of Bubs' Pokemon, without also knocking ourselves out due to recoil in the process. And I thought we would surely faint at the end there, so the fact that we held on with just 3 HP is honestly incredible. Next up is the Goldenrod City Gym and the battle with Whitney's Miltank. Miltank's rollout is always a problem, but you might be surprised to hear that Sentret won this battle on the very first try. Against the Clefairy, I used Defense Curl to raise our defense, and then used Swift to knock it out quickly before it can call something crazy with Metronome. And then I used Fury Cutter against the Miltank. It builds in power as Miltank also starts building power with rollout, and while Miltank barely hangs on, the one key difference between Fury Cutter and rollout is that we can choose to not keep using it. Meaning, I can use a quick attack to outspeed and pick off the Miltank when it's at very low health. So, which move is better, everyone? Rollout or Fury Cutter? I'll let you be the sludge of that. Alright, now that we've beaten the cattle, it's time to skedaddle. And the next battle with Bubs inside the Burnt Tower in Ecruteak City, well, just watch. Even with the ability to hit Haunter with super effective Dig, it's hard not to take a curse, and the 2-turn Dig leaves extra turns for us to take additional curse damage. Ugh, Haunter and Magnemite go down pretty easily, yeah, but Sentret never once made it past the Zubat during any of these tries. And this really stinks, but you won't hear me garbaging about it. Alright, so after many more tries, I finally get past the Haunter without taking a curse. Although a Spite does bring our Dig BP to dangerously small levels. Magnemite goes down in a single hit, and then Return does big damage to Bubs' Zubat and Croconaw. And Croconaw, for its part, does try to cheese out a win by flinching us with Bite. But thankfully, I can use Quick Attack to move first and prevent us from being flinched. And if you're crazy enough to think I'd let Bubs flinch me out from a win, then you're a waste basket case. Next up is the Spectral Showdown with the Ecruteak City Gym leader Morty and his gang of ghoulish ghosts, and this battle is very frustrating since at our current level, our best option is to use Dig to knock out his Pokemon, which leaves us open to taking a ton of curse damage. A Mint Berry helps to avoid being put to sleep by hypnosis, and while we have literally just enough health to survive 4 turns of curse and 1 KO Morty's 4 Pokemon, Gengar survives Dig, meaning our chances of winning, like a garbage disposal, go down the drain. So this battle becomes a lot easier as soon as Sentret hits level 38. The extra stats are nice, but like I mentioned earlier, the level ending in 8 provides extra rounding damage, meaning we're much more likely to knock out the Gengar with a single Dig. Curse does 1/4 of our maximum health each turn, but thanks to the fact that our HP is not divisible by 4, we're able to survive the 4th curse on a single point of health and win the gym badge. And I'm happy to be moving on, because I've had my land fill of this battle. Now with the ability to surf outside of battle, I set sail from Olivine City and head to the Cianwood City Gym to take on the fighting-type gym leader Chuck. In this battle, like the one with Morty, was difficult and required several resets, thanks to Karate Chop critical hits and Dynamic Punch being a 1-hit KO, and apparently never missing. Return is not a 2-hit KO on Poliwrath, so we need the frog to whiff 2 consecutive Dynamic Punches. It all comes down to luck, and it's completely out of our control. I keep trying this battle until we're finally able to get the 2 Dynamic Punch misses that we need to win. And you might notice I have an extra level, by the way, which didn't make any difference in the outcome. It's not enough extra bulk to survive Dynamic Punch, and while the damage rounding level boosts Return to a 2-hit KO outright, it doesn't change the number of Dynamic Punch misses that we need, since Quick Attack would have picked off the last of Poliwrath's health anyways. Of course, what no one's mentioning is the fact that we would have 0 chance of winning if Chuck simply used Mind Reader to guarantee that his Dynamic Punch hit, but then again, he's never been one to listen to raccoon-conventional wisdom. Next up is the Steel-type Gym Leader Jasmine. And I wanted to try my hand at this one before going to take on Price, the Ice-type Gym Leader, but turns out that was a bad idea. Despite our higher level and a held Paralyzed Cure Berry to heal off a single Thunder Wave, this one is just not going to work at this level. This is even when you consider the fact that we have a super effective move with Dig, but unlike in Pokemon Red, Game Freak reduced its power from 100 to 60. Plus, Steelix has the highest effective physical defense in the game, so you know this isn't going to work. And no, we didn't win, but at least we've gained valuable information. Or as I like to call it, Raccooniscence! After dispatching the Lake of Rage Team Rocket hideout portion of the game, I then headed to take on Price, the Ice-type Gym Leader in Mahogany Town. And this battle was actually easy. Bryce's Pokemon are a lower level than Jasmine's, and they do not resist Return, which is the strongest move that Sentret will get in this game. Especially when you consider that Amnesia can boost our special defense, all it takes is a few attacks to take out Bryce's Pokemon, and only a Blizzard Freeze could have bailed him out. Alright, gotta get back to Jasmine quick. Let me hop in my Raccoon-vertible. Okay, I have got to get off the word raccoon. Over in Olivine City once again, I head to take on the Gym Leader Jasmine in the hopes of defeating her Steel-type squad. Even at level 34 though, this battle is just impossible. The Magnemites are slower than us and go down in a single dig, yeah, but the Steelix takes several digs to take down, whereas she need only hit 2 Iron Tails to knock us out. And there might be more solid waste to go about this, but the only way I can think of is to level up. So after getting Sentret to level 50, we're finally able to win this battle. And please, don't ask me how many tries it took. I don't want to talk about it. In fact, I plead the filth. The extra levels don't make as much of a difference in our damage output, but it does finally turn Steelix's Iron Tail from a 2-hit KO into a 3-hit KO, which significantly increases our odds of winning. Jasmine frequently tries to prolong the battle by using a Hyper Potion right before we knock out the Steelix, but a critical hit expedites this process as we win the battle with very little health left over. And thank goodness that is done. Oh my god, Jasmine was so mean to our little trash panda. We might be the ones rummaging through garbage, but she's the scavenged jerk. With 7 gym badges in hand, we now have to take on the rival Bubs in the basement underground during the Team Rocket Radio Tower anime arc. And this battle isn't even an issue for Sentret at this point, since we had to get to such a high level just to beat Steelix. Even with Bubs' Golbat trying to confuse Reyes for a cheesy win, Sentret manages to bash through Bubs' Jabronis with Return. I didn't even need to use Dig on the Magnemite. Return is just that strong at this point. And I know, some people complain that Johto challenges rely too much on using Return, but at this point, it's almost like a tradition. And I'm all about racconnecting with my roots. Oh my god, I'm back on it. Having slid through Ice Path and making it to Blackthorn City, it's now time for the final Johto Gym Leader, Claire the Dragon-type trainer. And this battle was pretty easy when you compare to how this one usually goes. Return is a 1-hit KO on each of Claire's Dragonairs, and it turns out that Kingdra is a 2-hit KO, but despite the fact that we're still slower, take a lot of damage, and get paralyzed, we managed to get to the Kingdra and land a critical hit for the win. It almost feels criminal to steal a win like that. Like a raccoon stealing stinky trash. Or as I like to call it, committing a smelony. Before we reach the Elite Four, we have to take on the rival Bubs in Victory Road. Despite being almost level 60, Sentret struggled here? Surprising, I know, compared to the last battle, but Bubs' Pokemon are significantly stronger. But even so, I have a plan. I set up 3 Amnesia against the Sneasel to maximize our special defense. And we take a lot of damage and are low on health as we cruise through Bubs' Pokemon until we get to the Kadabra. It only goes for Future Sight, I don't know why, but it's a special move that takes several turns to hit, and this lets us restore our health with rest, while the Amnesia boost keep the Future Sight from doing very much damage, as we wait to wake up. And this might all seem superfluous, but considering Bubs' Feraligator's slash does almost half of our health, we needed all the HP we could muster. Mustard. Ooh, that reminds me, I need to pick up some groceries later. I better not forget, so I'll leave myself a post-it note. We finally made it to the Pokemon League, so here are the stats and moves. The moveset's kinda nice, although it will be changing quite rapidly in the near future. Dig has been super useful throughout the run, but when it comes to the Elite Four, coverage is the name of the game, so we'll be mixing things up. And normally, I try to stick with the same moveset for the entirety of the Pokemon League, but don't worry, there is a method to my madness, and I've got my reasons. Up first is the Psychic-type Elite Four member Will. His team is full of Psychic-type Pokemon, which hit hard on the special side, so I make sure to give Sentret a Bitter Berry to hold. Why? Because this lets us set up an Amnesia against the Xatu, while curing a single Confuse Ray. This special defense boost lets us survive Psychic from both the Xatu and the Jinx, where we wouldn't have otherwise. And going into the Exeggutor, we're really low on health, so I use Rest to restore us back to full. Exeggutor is only going for Egg Bomb, which doesn't do a ton, but it does enough that I needed to miss a couple times to keep our health intact and repeatedly go for Rest until that happens. And it misses a lot less frequently than you would expect for a move with only 75% accuracy, but eventually we make it past the Palm Tree Pokemon, and the Slowbro goes down in 2 returns after going for Amnesia, when it probably should have gone for Curse, and then our Amnesia boost lets us take 2 Psychics from Xatu with barely any health left over. And in hindsight, it's weird that of all his Pokemon, Exeggutor ended up giving us the most trouble, but the idea that Will could beat our Trash Panda with a friggin' plant is complete shrubbish. Next up is Koga, the Poison and Bug type Elite Four member. And here's the first instance of us mixing up the moveset. I replace Dig with the move Fire Punch, which turns this battle from incredibly difficult to kinda easy. Fortress is a steel type that can crush Sentret with Explosion, but it's double weak to fire, and despite not having the greatest special attack stat, Fire Punch is still enough for Sentret to pulverize the patined Pine Cone. And outside of Fortress, Return does enough damage to make quick work of the rest of Koga's team, as long as Evasion RNG decides to not be a complete jerk. And I do have a lot of resentment around losing to Koga's stupid evasion moves in the past, but hopefully, someday in the future, I can come to forgive him. And maybe then, we can racconciliate. Next up is the Fighting type Elite Four member Bruno. And this battle was kinda awful. Yeah, I dare say this might have even been worse than Jasmine. Sentret is a normal type and thus weak to fighting, and remember we had some trouble with Chuck before. Well, Bruno's Hitmonlee has High Jump Kick, which is a lot more accurate than Dynamic Punch, and one-hit KOs Sentret as well. And even if it misses, and we get to knock it out with Return, Hitmonchan is guaranteed to move first, with the increased priority Mach Punch, which also hits kinda hard. Plus, there's no way we can take Machamp's Cross Chop, and we don't even come close to knocking it out with Return in a single hit. So, it's time to boost our level, or as I like to call it, a pump and dump truck. It's not until we reach level 65 that we're able to beat Bruno, and that's despite taking both a High Jump Kick and a Mach Punch. Return is still not quite a 1-hit KO on the Machamp despite the extra stats and the damage rounding boost with our level ending in 5, but thankfully, Machamp misses the Cross Chop to let us knock it out. And I've replaced Fire Punch with Ice Punch, which lets us 1-hit KO the Onix. And we're finally done with this idiot, loser, beefcake, stud. Wait, how did those two thoughts end up next to each other in my brain? Well, I guess that's one of the problems with a single stream of consciousness. It's a vicious recycle of thoughts. And if you don't get that joke, it's no wonder the planet is dying. Up next is the Dark-type Elite Four member Karen. I make sure to replace Rest with Shadow Ball, otherwise I have no good way to hit the Gengar. Seems like we have every advantage possible here, but Karen can never make things easy. She's quite the raccoontrarian. Her lead Scumbrion lowers our accuracy with Sand Attack, and that is the beginning to a sentence that usually ends with me saying, "and then we lost." Umbreon goes down, and despite Sentret and Vileplume both whiffing multiple attacks back and forth at each other, we manage to knock it out and even make it past the Gengar, although we do take a curse. But as long as we continue to land 1-hit KOs, we won't take any more curse damage, and somehow Sentret manages to land enough consecutive returns to lay waste to the rest of Karen's team. Now it's time for the champion battle with the last member, Lance the Dragon Master. And I've got a good feeling going into this one, since we have Ice Punch to hit his dragon super effectively. But turns out that confidence was ill-founded. Gyarados is a real lottery of moves, with Rain Dance being the best thing it can do for us. But Lance's Pokemon all love to spam Hyper Beam, which doesn't give a dang diddly about us boosting our special defense with Amnesia. And the closest I got at this level was when we made it to the Charizard, only after landing a freeze on the Aerodactyl after it got an Ancient Power boost to all of its stats. And holy cramola, Batman, we still didn't even come close to winning. So, gotta do the whole dang thing again. You know, grind, level up, the whole 9 scrap yards. Okay, gotten a ton of extra levels, and we're finally able to make some headway. With the extra bulk and damage output, Sentret is able to get past the Gyarados without taking too much damage, and Ice Punch makes quick work of the Dragonites and the Aerodactyl. We're even strong enough at this point to 1-hit KO the Charizard with Return. And the final Dragonite must have realized that the battle was already over, because it doesn't even try to attack us with Outrage. Instead, it goes for a Safeguard, which would prevent Ice Punch from freezing if it could actually stand a chance of surviving. But we simply cannot be stopped, and there's nothing to stand in the way of Sentret's wake of destruction. He's a modern-day Raccoonquistador. And with Lance defeated, we have finally conquered the Pokemon League, but you know the challenge isn't over yet. I'm always going to consider beating the final Trainer Red as the final boss of the run, unless of course the Pokemon is just impossibly bad. I set sail upon the SS Aqua to head over to Kanto to take on their 8 gym leaders, to acquire all 16 badges to earn the right to challenge Red atop Mount Silver. And I got through most of the Kanto gym leaders without any trouble, so now it's time to take on the final Kanto gym leader, Blue. And this battle is absolutely free. Wait, why is that? Well, if you've seen any of these challenges before, then you will know just how strong the move Curse is for a physical attacker like Sentret. In fact, the only thing better than having Curse is having Curse and Amnesia. With the leftovers hold item healing us back a little each turn, there's nothing to stop Sentret from fully maximizing its attack, defense, and special defense, and sweeping Blue's entire team. Curse is especially great for a Pokemon like Sentret because its only drawback is that it lowers your speed as well. But Sentret is already so slow, it's basically a non-issue. I was never worried about this battle, since with Curse, we had a hidden weapon the entire time, and while some people are against Raccoon Sealed Carry, it's my Raccoonstitutional right. No, moving on. Nope, this joke is stupid. With all 16 badges in hand, it's time to take on the final Trainer Red atop Mount Silver. And this battle was completely ridiculously easy. Haha, another fake out. Yeah, remember before when I said that the only thing better than Curse for a physical attacker is having Amnesia? Yeah, well the only thing better than a physical attacker having Curse and Amnesia is also having Rest. And that's right, I deleted it earlier, but that was a level up move, and there's a TM for it. So that's right, we've got absolutely no way to lose this. We easily maximize our stats against the lead Pikachu, and even if we get paralyzed by Thunder, we can just heal it off with Rest. And even if we get paralyzed by Snorlax's Body Slam, we can just heal it off with Rest. Heck, even when we get burned by Charizard, having our attack stat in the process, we still 1-hit KO with Return. And I don't even bother using Rest against the last Pokemon Blastoise, since Return is a 2-hit KO anyways, and I enjoy taking any opportunity I can to style all over Red. And oh my god, Sentret, who knew eating trash could get you so jacked? Litter Critter, More like Trash Bin Diesel. And with that, the challenge is over. Sentret at first glance seems like another generic normal type. Bland and benign, but it actually has a lot to offer. It's got a great move pool, usable stats, and most importantly, it gave me the perfect excuse to make a ton of terrible raccoon puns. So, if you ask me why I felt it was necessary to do a whole video just about Sentret, I'll say the same thing that Limp Bizkit would say. I did it all for Tanuki. As always, I want to thank you for making it to the end of this video. These videos are a lot of fun, but also a lot of work, so I really do appreciate it. There's a playlist on my channel where you can find the rest of my Pokemon Challenge videos if you want to check those out as well. And if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you'll know right away the next time one of these episodes is uploaded. And if you want early access to these videos and to have your name listed in the credits, consider becoming a member or joining on Patreon. And if you have a Pokemon you'd like to see, let me know your raccoon mendations in the comments below and I'll probably do it. Next week, I'll be trying to beat Pokemon Red using only one Onix. Anyways, until next time,